Hello everyone, and welcome to this LinkedIn presentation about hybrid production and editing in a work-from-home setting. I'm Alan Parsons, and I'm a staff engineer working on content technology products here at LinkedIn. I'd like to start off by talking about how we got here today, how we surfaced this problem, and why we felt it was an important challenge to overcome and to solve. Our primary storage today is decentralized. Video editors, graphics editors, producers, and other roles involved in a video production process have been traditionally accustomed to fast, fiber-based access to local on-premise storage for years. We have no centralized storage solution though, no single naming space, and we often shuttle and synchronize media using products like Aspera between our 7 worldwide studios. But as you'll see in a later slide, we are currently in the process of implementing a new storage solution and rethinking about how we interact with media in a work-from-home and hybrid work environment. Once COVID hit, our offices and our studios closed pretty abruptly. We didn't halt production, we didn't halt editing, and so both editors and engineers had to scramble to keep up with course demands, production deadlines, and editing timelines. As a result, users inevitably ended up simply doing whatever worked best for them. Some users used RDP, others used their enterprise box accounts, and some used Aspera shares. We ended up with multiple sources of truth, and so file synchronization back to the SAN became increasingly difficult, delayed, and risky. From a business risk standpoint, we didn't want all those finished edits and unfinished edits out on users' laptops and not centrally stored and backed up on a SAN. Switching gears quickly, this flowchart is a quick glimpse into what our post-production edit workflow looks like. Regardless of a video being a live action course, a screen capture course such as how to use Excel or how to use Microsoft Word, or a course requiring a simple facelift, this is the workflow that a course follows from the time we stop recording until the time we deliver it for distribution on LinkedIn Learning. Today, all of the individuals in these roles are working both from home and from the office. The producers, the video editors, the graphics editors, the audio editors, and the folks doing QA. Having a single source of truth with all these touch points is exceedingly important. So what was the motivation to move to a PCoIP solution? We touched about this in the prior 2 slides, but mainly we needed a single source of truth. Shuttling files around via an enterprise box account introduced expensive transit time and synchronization challenges. We needed to create a compelling enough reason for our users and editors working remotely to access the SAN. And we needed that same experience whether our editors were working from home or working from the office. Whatever the solution was, needed to satisfy the needs of users in multiple roles. That same fast SAN connectivity experience and that same smooth video playback experience had to solve the work from home challenge for video editors, graphics editors, and course producers alike. As a temporary solution, some users began using RDP and VNC protocols, but they were using these protocols and using their on-premise workstations simply to move files from the SAN to an enterprise box account so they could download the files and edit on their laptops at home. In the next slide, we'll see just how complicated this RDP and VNC protocol and process made our editing workflow and how much transit time it introduced. This slide shows the adopted work-from-home workflow that editors were using prior to us introducing a PCoIP solution. The workflow is complicated, lengthy, and introduces transit time for moving files to and from an editor's home laptop. On the right are our editors. They're all working from home, and they're all using Apple hardware. They're running a local instance of the Enterprise Box Sync agent, and they're connected to the LinkedIn VPN. We're using a split tunnel VPN here at LinkedIn, which was recently introduced at the start of the pandemic. This saves some time by offloading uploads and downloads not destined for the LinkedIn corporate network to public internet rather than saturating our VPN concentrators. So in step 1, an editor connects to the VPN. The editor then uses either VNC or RDP to connect to their on-prem machine. All editors have their own dedicated machines on-premise outfitted with GPU processors and fiber cards. You'll notice that we do run a mixture of Windows and Apple workstations depending on an editor's location. So an editor connects to their on-prem workstation using either VNC, RDP, or Apple Remote Desktop. They then browse to the SAN. Editors then transfer unfinished, unedited files to an enterprise box account using their on-prem workstation, which then syncs that content back up to box.com. The editor disconnects from their VNC or RDP session and waits for the local laptop's box agent to sync that content locally. The editor then edits the video file locally using their laptop at home. And when done, they wait for those edits on their laptop to sync back up to box.com. Once done, the editor reconnects to their on-prem workstation and they wait for those files to finish syncing back down to the on-premise workstation on campus. Finally, the editor moves the finished files back to the SAN when complete to kick off the next process of the workflow. Okay, I think we can all agree that the workflow in the prior slide is less than ideal and introduces a lot of wait time. We began exploring different options and we finally settled on using Teradici to provide a PCoIP solution. PCoIP is great because it uses a UDP protocol, essentially fire and forget, to transfer pixels as opposed to a TCP/IP protocol, which introduces ACKs and retries. What we get is a much smoother video playback experience. And of course, a simplified workflow because editors can now edit right on their on-prem machine attached directly to the SAN as if they were sitting in the office. So with the PCoIP solution, we've reduced the number of steps to edit a course to just 3. An editor connects over Teradici to their dedicated on-prem workstation. A video editor opens their project directly from the SAN with an external fiber card and begins editing the content. Edits are saved directly back to the SAN. Graphics editors and producers can all review and collaboratively edit this content in real time since we've removed the reliance on a third-party tool to perform file synchronization. We're in the process of rolling this out to more users, but as you can see, we're able to reduce the complexity and improve the velocity of a course production from the time recording has been completed to the time it's available for consumption on LinkedIn Learning. So where are we in this journey? We've made this PCoIP solution available worldwide to our video editors. It's a tool they have the option to use, and some folks still prefer to edit from a proxy-based workflow. This is okay, and our goal is to offer a variety of tools that allow editors to do their very best work in a reasonable amount of time. We believe that Teradici is the tool that delivers that, but some users are having challenges, like keyboard interoperability challenges between OS X and Windows Edit machines. We've just begun to roll out this tool for our graphics editors, and we're beginning to see an increased organic interest from other departments asking to try out a PCoIP solution for their own workflows. We ran some back-of-the-napkin math based off of course size and home internet speeds reported by video editors at the start of this project. And we estimate that on any given week, we've saved over 1,000 hours of time wasted waiting on files in transit. That's huge, and that number is based today just on our video editing team. Connecting to desktops via the PCoIP protocol presents a pretty compelling case in a hybrid work from home and work from office environment. It's here to stay at LinkedIn. So, because it's here to stay and because teams are clamoring to adopt it for uses outside of just video editing, we're going to invest time in a management tier to centralize licensing and authentication. That would allow us to also centralize logging and metrics and other telemetry, which to date have been a challenge in a direct connect type of environment. This is also a stepping stone to shifting our compute away from offices and into the cloud. We do have interruptions that we have to plan for outside of pandemics. Here in SoCal, we have to worry about wildfires and power outages. So moving to the cloud eventually would defend against these disruptions in editing workflows and business continuity. Our overarching goal is to allow editors to get that same edit experience no matter where they choose to work from, at home, on a laptop at the coffee shop, or on-site at any one of our 7 global studios. We want a simplified, uniform, predictable edit experience. But getting there also requires us to collapse onto a single OS that's capable of being virtualized in the cloud. Today, unfortunately, OS X cannot be virtualized in Azure. And getting to the cloud requires us to rethink how we're doing storage. We're currently moving towards a new storage system where the source of truth is in the cloud with a single global naming space and a distributed file cache at each of our 7 sites. Until we swap out that storage, we'll continue to introduce transport latency with today's storage architecture. And removing transport latency is something that we are trying to rid from the workflow today. That ends our talk on editing in a hybrid environment. And if we have time, I'm happy to open up the Q&A. Thanks, everyone.